Good morning, all. So this is Bismillah from RPOS 7 support. Today we are going to see a topic on managing IT infrastructure to make sure that you are having a good fast billing speed, and at the same time you're not facing any issues like your application is not opening or your system is not working, anything like that. Okay, so today we'll be majorly discussing on what is the problem you are facing, what can cause problems to your system or to your application, and how we are going to avoid the same. Okay, so we'll start with the basics first. So first of all, one retailer must be aware of what are the important things that has to be taken care of. Currently, every customer who is attached with GoFrugal family will have a computer. Okay, but the problem arises to probably 1 or 2% of customers where they are facing the issues like performance issues in billing, or some sort of database corruption, or your application will not open when you are trying to open it in the morning. These sort of problems occur commonly in some rare cases and to some particular customers alone. Okay, so first we'll see what is the IT environment and how it has to be taken care of. So as you know, computer forms the basic of the IT environment. The second is you should have a compatible OS. Uh, if you're buying any computer which is pre-assembled, then it will have a compatible OS. But most of us, or probably some of us, will have a system which is assembled piece by piece with the hard disk or different processor, different RAM, different display, everything. So in that case, it has to be properly seen that what is the motherboard being used and what is the OS being installed. The third major thing when you have this a computer and a OS and the system is ready to start is the antivirus. You should be aware of any duplicate antivirus or not a licensed antivirus. You can consult your hardware person for that and first install an antivirus in the system. Nowadays, such computer attacks or spyware attacks, as you all might know, are on very high. So your database is not only, or your data is just not only at the risk of being lost, it's also being at the risk of being hacked. So it is very much important that you have a proper antivirus. The next thing for any retailer is billing. So the bill printer or barcode printer and the barcode scanners and all the other peripheral devices like keyboard, mouse, etc., all these are important. Finally will come your hard disk and motherboard, the internal parts of your CPU. So all these are your IT environments, and these has to be taken care very carefully. Now we'll see why it is important to maintain them. Even from support, as you probably might know, we have released many videos related to product, their help documents and everything. The first video that actually we released was on how to maintain your IT environment so that you can have 100% availability. This was probably the first ever video we released for the customers. So in that video as well, it's around 5 minutes video, and in that video as well we have stressed on why it is important and how you are going to maintain them. See, when you're opening, every retailer, whenever they are starting the business on that day, probably will want to come, start the system and serve their customers. Apart from this, no other retailer is coming to their shop or their business to do anything else. They just want to focus on their business. We at GoFrugal also, to every customer, we only recommend that once you have our GoFrugal product, you should only concentrate on your business and not on anything else. So you're coming to the shop morning, you're trying to open the application, and just imagine that the application will not open on any case. It is simply not starting or giving some or the other error messages. However, you were able to build or use the system and the application till yesterday night, till you were closing the shop. So something has changed between yesterday night and today morning. This change or whatever has happened in the system is causing some problem in starting your application. So what are you going to do now? The next thing you do is try to reach the support, and at support we are starting to analyze the system, what has happened, what might be the cause of the application not being turned on, what would have happened. We try to gather some information, as you might some customers would have reached, then we you might have known what are the common questions that we ask. What has happened, whether there was some any power failure, any improper shutdown from your side, something like that, or any OS corruption, some error message you have got probably in the OS. Okay, so if your application is not starting, and we are starting to analyze, in some very good cases, okay, your application will start within probably the next 20 to 30 minutes. There are cases where the application will not start even after for half an hour, 1 hour, or 1.5 hours. In the worst possible case, your application or the database you had, the backup files, everything are so corrupted that your application will not open itself. In that case, you will probably hear from support or our team that it might take 1 to 2 days to recover. In that 1 to 2 days time, your entire time is wasted. You have to start to do manual billing, make hand bills and give to the customers. Just imagine a supermarket where from morning 10 to 10:30, okay, minimum around 50 to 60 customers are there in the counters, and at that time if you are to give a handmade bills to them, it is really difficult, and this is not even the peak time. So at peak time, we can just imagine how difficult it will be for any retailer. So at the end of the day, you had reached the shop to do some business, to do some activity that you are doing regularly, to think of your business expansion. But at the end of the day, you're only stuck with not even the application opening. So it is a very critical issue, and hence it is very important to make sure that you have to maintain each and every one of the IT environment as mentioned above. Okay, so I'll give you some tips, or based on the support experience, on what customer faces the issue, for what calls or what type of issue you reach our support. And today we'll try to make sure that you are addressed and you can take care yourself, so that none of the retailer has to go through this. Okay. So as I was discussing that what has happened from last night till today morning. So there are many cases which might occur and we'll discuss them one by one. The first problem is while taking backup at the server, before the backup is being completed, or if you have seen our system that it will show three green color boxes like completed, completed and completed for the three database. And before the backup window is completely closed, the shop person or the counter person will simply switch off from the main. This is one of the main reason why your database connection or database will go not responding or not available the next morning. In this some cases the database will go to suspect mode, recovering mode, and the next morning when you're trying to open, probably the system will not open saying the same messages. So when we ask like whether there was any improper shutdown in the support, we actually mean whether you have force closed or force shut down the system without taking proper backup, or have directly closed the mains without actually shutting down the system. Or there are, as you know, in India there is a lot of electricity problem. In cases there might be like a definite power shortage or time from 2 to 4, from morning 10 to 12 something, but in most cases it will be random. So you might never know when the system's power will actually be turned off. At any given time, if the system is being terminated improperly, then all your connections, like all your applications, will terminate instantly. And any application which uses a database connection or uses a very high intensive processing, that will get impacted the most. Actually, it is not beneficial even to have any single process running if the system is going to be shut down. The windows, if you give a proper shutdown, the windows will close all the processes, and the same has to be done for all the other applications that we use. May it be a movie player, may it be our GoFrugal RPOS 7, or any document or Excel sheet you are working on. Okay, so before shutting down the system, everything has to be closed in a proper orderly manner. So when we are talking about our system, our GoFrugal RPOS 7, as you all might know that we are using Microsoft SQL database as the backend. In the databases, whenever you start the application, your connection gets open, and whenever you close the connection, close the application, the connection will close in a properly manner. When the system is getting shut down improperly, these connections remain open. It is not only true for our RPOS 7 application, but also for SQL databases. Whenever you install an SQL, it will have its own databases. Even those database connection has to be terminated properly. So we have to close the application in an orderly fashion, then close all the applications that are open in the system, and then give the system shutdown properly so that all are terminated in an orderly fashion. So suppose an instance when the power had gone and all the applications were open, so the database connections will also remain open. The next thing what happens is when you're trying to open the next morning, since it was not closed properly the earlier day, the next day the system will not open. The database status, like it will be showing as suspect or recovery pending, or one of the SQL databases. Probably the most frequent one which gets corrupted is the master database or MSDB database. These gets corrupted. Once any of the SQL related database gets corrupted, your SQL will not start. And while trying to open the application, our GoFrugal RPOS 7 application will show a message that SQL service is not running, please start it manually. Or if any one of our system application database gets corrupted, you will get a proper message saying that so and so database is in recovering state, so and so database is in suspect mode. So these are not healthy practices, because if any one of the database gets corrupted or you're not able to use it, all those transactions which you have done from the day one till today, there is a risk of losing all those. The second point is like overheating. In India, probably in most of the places, you will see dust particles. These computer hardwares which are used, which are actually prepared, are in a dust free environment. They are not made for dust. So our application, our system peripherals like printer, scanner, everything, we have to maintain them, okay, by cleaning them regularly. If dust particles or there are a lot of dust in and around the CPU or the components like motherboard and hard disk will start to get overheated very fast. This will not show directly as a issue to you. It might cause a serious issue after some time, like 1 month or 2 months time, when the system itself will not open, but the effect of the same can be seen very quickly in terms of the system performance. If you're trying to open the system, the OS will load very slowly. If you're trying to open the any other applications like Notepad or Word or any browser, it will open very slowly. If you're trying to open any our application, the application might perform very less or very slowly. You're trying to make a sale bill, it might get saved very late. Okay, so we need to make sure that there is no overheating as well. The system peripherals, everything are dust free. Third thing is antivirus or any spyware. Currently, around 6 months back, there was a ransomware which was corrupting the systems, which was renaming the database files, thus rendering the database or the application useless. So we need to make sure that we have a proper antivirus. We add exclusion to some folders which I will show, and make sure that our systems are virus or spyware free. Only installing a proper antivirus, having it properly updated regularly, having our files and SQL files in exclusion will make sure that your IT environment is safe. Even due to virus issues, you can face performance issues in some cases. The third problem is improper maintenance of other peripherals, like your printer driver or your barcode printer, barcode scanner. Their drivers might not function properly. The most frequent challenge that we face is while saving a bill, the system will go to not responding mode. When you analyze very carefully, as soon as we save a bill, the bill number is generated very immediately, which means that in the RPOS 7 application, the bill has saved, but the print which is triggered as soon as a bill has saved is not coming as fast as expected. Unless the print has come out from the system or the printer, the system, the GoFrugal RPOS 7 application will go to not responding mode. So it is actually not an issue of the system, the RPOS 7 application or the OS, but there is a problem with the printer driver. The printer driver might have got corrupted, due to which the printing command is not getting executed as efficiently as before. The printer drivers can get corrupted, or any peripheral drivers can get corrupted anytime. We can only make sure that we are properly maintaining them to avoid any of these issues. Finally, what happens is, if due to any of these issues your database gets corrupted, and you will face a business breakdown, which is not recommended, which is not needed for any of the business. I'm launching a quick poll. Please do answer. The poll is available for only 1 minute. I can see that still 50% customers are yet to give a poll. Kindly do give their opinion. It will help us to serve you better. It's final 30%, 30 seconds for the poll to finish. Kindly do vote. Thank you for all those who have voted. Finally, we come to the major or main point of this webinar. I'll give some tips to maintain the IT infrastructure. First is to take the application backup properly. Many of our customers are having client and server systems. The first task is whenever we close the applications while shutting the shop, first the backup has to be taken on the client machines. This will make sure that all the data that is done on the client machine is synced to the server. In RPOS 7, apart from the offline billing cases, whatever bills or whatever transactions are done in the client are instantaneously updated in the server. However, it is a best practice in all cases to make sure that you close the client application by giving exit, allow the system to take backup. Once all the machines backup is done, we need to go to the server machine, give exit there as well, and wait for the backup to complete. While doing the backup, we need to make sure that other add-on products like GoFrugal Track or EasyPrint, all those are closed first. Once the backup is done, we can see that completed message in the backup screen itself. Also, you can see the additional messages that we have provided in the backup screen on what will cause your database corruption and take preventive actions. Secondly, in the backup screen itself, we have given provision to configure a secondary backup. That is, not only in the hard disk in which the system is installed, you can make sure that the backup is taken in additional pen drive or external hard disk, or even if anyone is having a Google Drive account or any other drive accounts, online cloud storage accounts, you can make sure that the auto backup as well as the backup taken from the server machine is synced to that. In this case of cloud storage, we should make sure that the internet connection is fast and always available. Otherwise, while taking the backup, it will take some time. Usually for an average database size of 2 to 4 GB, the system will take around 5 minutes time to complete all the backups. If any particular systems or any particular customer is facing issues like if you have given backup, the database size is normal around 3 to 4 GBs only, but still the backup is taking very much time, then there might be some issue which has already occurred and which needs to be addressed immediately. You can reach our support for such cases. Third point is, as I was saying earlier, improper shutdowns or due to power failure shutdowns. Those are the major cases where your database gets corrupted. So we must have at least an UPS for each and every server machines. The least basic UPS will give a backup time of 20 minutes. In that time, due to rush hours, people tend to do billing in that 10 minutes as well. But the 10 minutes should be properly utilized to make sure that the server is given a proper backup and the application is closed. If the UPS time as well is run out, then it is very similar to improper shutdown itself. So kindly use the UPS time very well and give a shutdown in those cases. Third point is, you must make sure that the system and the peripherals are as far as clean or dust free. We must make sure that in peak times morning and just before closing the shop. These systems are cleaned, made sure that there is no dust particles. There are some configurations which can be done at the system level as well. One of them is the temporary files. Whenever we open any application, whenever we open any browser, it installs some temporary files in the system. These temporary files do get accumulated on timely basis, and at some point of time it will cross like 1 GB or 2 GB. Once it crosses like 700 MB of RAM, the system performance will start to affect. So it is not just having a huge database overheating problem or any other problem. Even the temporary files can cause us performance issues. There are several applications available like CCleaner to clear the temporary files on a regular basis. Third, the next point is antivirus. As I said, antivirus is probably the first software you must install in any new system. Whenever an OS is formatted as well, the antivirus is the first to be addressed. Not only having an antivirus, there are few files which has to be excluded as well. One of them is GoFrugal RPOS 7 application path. We have an icon on the desktop for GoFrugal RPOS 7. You can find the application path using that. Based on different antivirus, there are different settings on where you can give an exclusion. So we can Google for our antivirus on how to exclude the files and add exclusion on the same. The second files that has to be excluded is the SQL file. SQL is probably installed in the OS drive. For most of the customers it will be C drive. So in C drive, if you go to program files folder, you can see a Microsoft SQL Server folder there. For Windows XP and Windows 7 64-bit, it might differ, so we can find out the files by going inside them. These files have to be in the exclusions. The reason is antivirus do have the capacity to block the execution of some files, and in some cases it will block some processes as well. Any customer who have ever faced a performance issue will see that SQL Server is taking the maximum process. Most of the cases it is not just because you are having a high database or some other actual issues. In some cases even it is the antivirus not being excluded. At that instances, the SQL execution is blocked by the antivirus, and thus the performance goes very low. Finally, it is very much important that as we take care of our health, we must take a proper hardware person assistance to make sure that hard disk, motherboard, the temporary files, the OS, antivirus, everything is updated. There are no issues, there is no overheating problem. A hardware person can look into the system logs and can easily identify what has happened in the past 3 months or probably 6 months, what are the issues that is being faced, and what can be the solutions to them. So do have a periodical checkup of the system. In most customer places, they often tend to go for an OS format after every 3 months or every 6 months. It is not advisable by GoFrugal. It is your hardware person's choice. But I do prefer that without OS format as well, we can maintain the system. We already have a help document and a video link to show on how to maintain your IT environment, how to back up your database in cloud. I will again send those links in the mail. You can ask for questions now. I'm ready to answer them. This is a help link for taking your POS backup on cloud. I'm also sharing this link to all the individuals present. A good question has been raised by Juzer Hussain. He has asked whether the temporary files are created by RPOS 7 software. The temporary files are not just created by the RPOS 7. Any application which is being used in the system will create some or the other temporary files. It is how the OS works. You can simply check by just opening any browser, going to some websites, and with or without notice it will install cookies. Those cookies will directly be stored in the temporary location itself. For these things, we cannot actually stop them from installing the cookies or creating the temporary files, because without the temporary files the applications will not work. It is that once the work of those applications are completed, the temporary files will not be deleted automatically. To handle these cases only, we have softwares like CCleaner and other temporary files removers which you can find online, which will help you to clean them periodically. It is actually a good practice to clean or run the CCleaner applications once a week. Mr. Bharat has asked whether it is necessary to take backup on all clients. While using the clients, in the each and every client machine as well, we maintain a client backup. However, using that client backup, we might not be able to get any data out of it. So why is it important? While making some transactions, if suppose there is any SQL issues because of which your last transactions have not been updated to server, then in those cases, while taking the backup in the client machines, that details will sync. It will not happen in normal cases, but just to avoid any discrepancies in the data or any issues, it is a good practice to take backup in the clients as well. Whatever IT environment and maintenance of IT environment we have just discussed, it applies to all client machine as well. Suppose an environment where we have one server and 10 client machines. Definitely in those environment, the server will not be used for billing or any transactions. It will be kept or installed as a separate server machines, and only in the client machines the purchases, the sales transactions, everything will happen. So even in that case, if for any client machine the OS is corrupted, the hard disk is corrupted, or there is an improper shutdown done by the counter person, and the next morning the client machine is not opening, then again whatever time is spent to resolve that issue is a waste of time. So maintaining IT environment for the client machines, taking backup is definitely an important work. One more small point that I would like to make. In our RPOS 7 application, we maintain two types of backup. One is an auto backup, which will start as soon as your application is started in the day's morning. The other is a backup when you close down your system. Okay, and both these backup we have for the past 7 days. It is not like if you are maintaining past 7 days, only the last 7 days transactions will be available. Whatever the transactions has been done from the day 1 till today, we are keeping that record in every backup. It is just that we are maintaining the last 7 days backup. So if today is Tuesday, there will be already a folder named Tuesday in your backup folder. When you give a backup today at the day end, the earlier Tuesday file will get overwritten. Now I will show you the different configurations we have in the backup. The first thing is you can press the button for the backup path to change backup. Okay, it is recommended that you don't do this. Whatever change you want, you can press the second browse button, which is leave a copy at. This you can configure for the secondary backup. You can choose your external hard disk or the folder of your Google Drive so that it gets automatically synced there. Also, there is a checkbox for backup in a zip format. Any customer who is having a 3 GB, 4 GB database size, or even a larger size, can use this option. What will happen is your backup, which usually comes as a 1 GB file, will again get zipped into probably a 700 or 800 MB file. This will make sure that overall space utilized is null. See, while giving a backup, we must make sure that the backup is completely done. If you get this message, you need to press as wait for the process to complete. Also, it must show 3 success boxes. Any customer who has not read what causes corruption part in the backup screen, please read those. You can see that now the system has shown success, but still the backup window has not closed. So by this time we should not close the mains. We must wait for this screen to completely vanish. Thank you for participation. Hope I addressed your queries. Also, I gave some useful tips on how to maintain your environment. I'm launching a one more poll again for 1 minute. Kindly do give your opinions on that. Again, thank you for your time. We'll see next time.